What's up, everybody? So, I wanted to talk about the issues that people have when it comes to the new iPhone 7 that Apple just announced. I want to share my thoughts on these issues and give my opinion on whether I think those opinions are valid or just propaganda. Let's start with the elephant in the room. For some reason, this is the one feature that most people seem to be concerned about, and that is the headphone jack. Yes, Apple decided to remove the headphone jack, but the iPhone 7 comes with a lightning earphone, which means you'll still be able to do everything you did with your 3.5mm jack. The only difference is that you'll be using the lightning port instead. As for being able to charge and listen to music at the same time, I'm not sure, but I wouldn't recommend it anyway. Let me just add the fact that nobody complained when electronic manufacturers removed cassette players from CD players, or when they removed CD players from cars and other electronic devices. Most cars these days no longer have CD players anyway. And you want to know why this is? It's because nobody uses those anymore. Apple saw this in the past couple of years or so. Wireless headphones have become more and more of a technology that people are growing to love. A lot of companies have created many options of wireless headphones and people love them. And compared to their prices, honestly, Apple's Earpods are better when it comes to usability, and don't forget that they are completely wireless. And if Apple's quality standards are an indication, the build quality will probably be really good as well. I wouldn't say the sound will be worth the money spent until I hear it for myself though, because I've never liked the standard earphones that Apple included in their devices in the past. But the iPhone 7 comes with an adapter that converts Lightning to 3.5mm jack, so you can still listen to music using whatever headphones or device you may have that uses that. People think that you are now going to spend extra money being forced to buy the wireless headphones just to listen to music, but you don't. The wireless earpods are a nice option, but that's all they are, an option. Compared to the standard earphones, they're better, and compared to other wireless headsets in the market, it's still not that expensive. Mind you, most wireless headphones in the market now are not completely wireless like these earpods. Then some people say they're going to be easy to lose, but those must be the same idiots that say the iPhone 6 is easy to bend and therefore not worth it. I mean, how many people own iPhone 6s now, and how many of them bent it by sitting on it? When you spend that much money on something, you will obviously take good care of it. And it only makes sense to me that one would put them back in the case, when I'm talking about the AirPods now, that one will put them back in the case when they're not using them. So only if you're stupid, then you will lose them. Yes, if you're a stupid person, don't buy them. Otherwise, you'd always put them in the case that they come with when you're not using them, and you're not gonna lose them. I've been using wireless headphones for the past 3 months or so now, and I do not miss the headphone jack at all. I mean, you get in the car, you can connect via Bluetooth, you're running, you have your wireless. It's just so much more convenient. I don't understand why people are insisting on this 3.5mm jack. And I think wireless is the way forward, so I'm happy that Apple made this move. So as far as the headphone jack being removed, I think it's a good move by Apple, and you can come back here in a couple of years when all of these manufacturers of other smartphones are copying what Apple just started. So I can tell you I told you so, just like they're copying the fingerprint sensor and all of that stuff. Also, the 3.5mm jack port being removed is making way for stereo speakers, and if past Apple products are an indication of what sound we can expect, I'm not even worried that it's going to sound good as well. And amongst the other features that I can't really get into all of them because there are so many, but this is the first iPhone that is going to come with a 256 onboard memory. Not that you have to use an extra micro SD card or external memory of any sort. I mean, granted, you're gonna have to spend a little bit more money, but it will be worth it. And a lot of other phone manufacturers have been talking about this, but it's always, you hardly ever saw onboard memory just like this. And if when you're using Apple, you bet you it's gonna be smooth, even though your phone is processing so much data like that. This iPhone is also gonna have a changed home button, which makes it no more clickable, but they say it's gonna be a better experience once you get used to it. This is also going to be the first iPhone that is going to be water and dust proof. That is a first for Apple, and although Apple has not declared it to be waterproof completely, I bet you that a lot of people are going to test this phone and submerge it in water and swim with it and, do extreme tests about waterproof with it. And I can promise you from my experience in the past with all these tests that this phone will probably last. It's probably going to stand the test that people are going to put it through. Now, next, let's talk about design. What is there to even say? I mean, Apple is a leader when it comes to design, and all of the best smartphones you see in the market right now are all copycats of the iPhone 6. So they really didn't even change, but since most people were saying they didn't like the antenna band at the back, they moved it a bit, and you're lucky that Apple gave you that. Just be thankful that they gave you that. that I know you don't find that funny. So next, let's talk about the price. I mean, people are wondering, is it worth my money? Should I pay that much for it? The price, everything's been increasing in price. The new iPhone is no exception. They create new devices that make money and not for the sole purpose of making people happy. I mean, it's a business at the end of the day. So whether it's worth it or not, I think really depends on individuals. For me personally, if I had the money, yes, I think it's worth my money. But just to conclude this, the people that complain about Apple products are really not even Apple users. They're not used to or want to get used to the ecosystem that Apple has created, and instead they want Apple to change to suit their needs. But they're used to Android, so that's basically asking Apple to be, it's like asking iOS to be Android. It just doesn't make sense. You hardly ever see an Apple user use Android and be happy with it. I just don't see it as possible, having used both platforms. And an Android user might change to Apple if they're open-minded, but also not easily at all. But that's why you have Android or Microsoft, although Microsoft is not even much of an option, but there are Android and Microsoft people, and there are iOS people, and that's just it. So to the people that are complaining about everything, you know what? If you're happy with your Android, then stay happy with your Android and leave me be with my Apple and let me purchase. But I can promise you, if you were to ask 90% of Apple users, the reason why they don't just stop at buying an iPhone, they go and buy a MacBook and an iPad and the Apple Watch and all of these Apple products, it's not because you call them iSheep, but it's because Apple has created an ecosystem that works. And using an Apple device, if it feels natural. Using an Android feels like you have to be a certified nerd sometimes. And yeah, that might make me sound dumb, but so what? There are a lot of ordinary people out there just like me. And yeah, FYI, not everybody wants to be a nerd.